Dr. E.N.G. Marek Gruszecki. Philosophy of Being. Krakow, 2025. My 85th anniversary. Philosophical essay Does God Exist? Krakow, the 19th of April 2025.
Mysticism. Part 1. A mystical person is one whose desire and goal is to continually commune and unite with his God. The essence of the mystical experience, on the part of God, is to interact directly in the personal spiritual life, and on the part of man, to experience passivity. In the mystical act itself, for which words are lacking, concepts and images fall silent. This is where the specific language of symbols has its origin. The necessity of language only arises when the mystic wants to go outward with his message. Experiencing the presence of God is by no means a rare phenomenon. Anyone can experience it, for example during fervent morning prayer. Unfortunately, most often this experience fades during the day. If this awareness fades in the midst of many different duties, the Holy Spirit will help us to return with our memory to what it was in the morning, if we ask for it. The mystical experience requires a certain intuition. It is experienced differently by men and differently by women. A woman is more susceptible to such experiences because she is naturally endowed with greater intuition. Hence, it is easier for God to reach a woman than a man who wants to know and understand everything. As much as possible, God can be found in everyday work. Everyday, sometimes boring, activities can be raised to a higher level through intention. What I do, I offer to God. This is a mysticism of everyday life. God leads mystics along different paths, sometimes showing dangers, sometimes a right path. Sometimes he brings them up through horror, showing them the truth about the ultimate misery that is hell. To speak of heaven and hell is the language of the final abode. For one can dwell either among demons or among the saints of God. If one does not live consciously for God, willingly, unwillingly, one's house is slowly filled with demons. But what if one lives consciously against God? The experiential knowledge of God, which takes place mystically by the power of his grace, is available to everyone from the moment of baptism. Beyond cognition, we can speak of mystical communion with God. The act of mystical death is experiencing the passion of Christ. Those endowed with the gift of special sensitivity are experienced with extraordinary signs. The mystical experience is a peculiar experience of grace that embraces our whole being. In mystical experience, concepts are not needed. The mystic comes into contact with a mystery in a direct way. The characteristics of mystical experience are the brief moments, not planned by the mystic, when he comes into direct contact with the infinite goodness without his own effort. Henceforth, everything depends on God, assuming that he will acquiesce to God's action. Mysticism. Part 2. Vision 1. Today, in spirit, I was in heaven and saw how great is a happiness in God, which overflows into all creatures, and they enter into the depths of God, contemplating the inner life of God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, which they will never comprehend or fathom. The mystic Emmerich enjoyed the ability to see extraordinary things. Most of her visions have been written down, including an account of the death of Mary, the mother of Jesus. The tradition of the Church preserves the memory of Mary being taken into heaven with her soul and body. So how did this happen? Vision 2. Mary spent her final years in Ephesus. Feeling the end of her life approaching, Mary called all the apostles to Ephesus. After the burial in the garden in front of the grotto, the apostles prayed during the night. At that moment, a broad streak of light descended from above onto the grotto, and in their midst was the shining soul of the Blessed Virgin. In front of her walked the Divine Son. The miraculous phenomenon descended over the grotto. The Blessed Virgin Mary's soul, having passed Jesus, penetrated through the rock into the tomb and immediately rose again, together with the holy body of Mary, already transfigured and shining, after which the whole heavenly, miraculous procession ascended. The apostles raised their hands in amazement. Sister Faustina's visions make it very clear that the sufferings of hell are rather the spiritual torment of a soul deprived of God. Vision 3. Today I was in the abysses of hell. It is a place of great torment, where I saw different kinds of torments, common to all and torments for individual souls. Let the sinner know by what sense he has sinned. Such shall he be tormented for all eternity. One thing I have noticed is that this is where there is the greatest number of souls who do not believe that there is a hell. Vision 4. The torment for eternity of a damned soul surpasses our imagination with its monstrosity. There is nothing to compare it with. Hell is divided into the most varied recalcitrant circles. The lower the circle, the more terrible the torments within it. Souls are burned by an unquenchable fire of desire and longing for happiness. Vision 5. One day, during prayer, I found myself in spirit transported to hell. I felt a fire in my soul, and at the same time in my body I suffered unbearable pains. But all this terrible torment of the body is nothing compared to the torment of the soul. I experience it in order to save myself and others. Vision 6. God's mercy sometimes reaches a sinner at the last moment in a strange and mysterious way. Already in the very act of dying, the merciful God gives the soul that clear in a moment.
Conclusion. But Jesus, overhearing what was being said, said to the ruler of the synagogue, "Do not be afraid, only believe." Bible, Mark 5 verse 36. It will still be beautiful, despite everything. Just put on comfortable shoes, because you have your whole life to go through. John Paul II. Mathematics in nature.